And the crickets and cicada both sing just for me, and the owls all bow with respect. When death goes a-prowling like a wolf through the forest and finds his way to the front steps, I will be knocking.
On November 30th, 2022, Michael Ramsey was doing his usual hiking in the woods. This particular day, he decided to go exploring at Lake Tawakoni. As he hiked into the woods, he was amazed at all the tall water oaks in the area. He happened to be looking at a water oak tree when he spotted a bike near the tree. It was covered up with a fairly large and very long dead rotted tree. As he walked towards the bike, he noticed small bones nearby, at first thinking it could be scattered animal remains, until he seen the human skull. The body is believed to be a man who went missing in 2017, and the circumstance that led to his death are truly bizarre and rivaled in mystery. Come join me in the Murder She Shed, where we honor the dead right from my she shed, and my name is Holly. If you're fascinated by true crime, then hit the subscribe, because you know you want to hang out with this southern gal who talks about some real grime of true crime. I don't know. Making stuff up as I go. This case does involve a firefighter, and since I am married to an Oklahoma fireman for 30 years now, this unsolved case really stood out to me. Now let's begin. Michael Chambers, or aka Papa, was a retired Texas fireman that went missing on March 10, 2017. Michael lived in Quinlan, Texas with his wife, Rebecca Chambers. He served as a Dallas firefighter for 36 years and retired in 2008. He was known for offering a helping hand in his neighborhood. People in his community described him as having a heart of gold. He was a church deacon at First Baptist Church, where he also sang in a gospel band. Michael married Rebecca in 1980. She was his second wife. After they got married, they adopted 2 children. He already had 2 daughters from his first marriage. Rebecca, who liked to be called Becca, was a home health aide. He spoiled his wife, bringing her coffee in bed and often cooking the meals in the house. And that's why it's great to be married to a fireman, because they know how to cook. And also, occasionally, my husband does bring me coffee in bed, and that is great when he decides to. It's amazing. Michael was a car enthusiast and a member of the Texas Most Wanted Car Restoration Group. After his retirement, he could be found working on and restoring old classic cars in his workshop most of the day. He was a proud papa to 9 grandchildren and 6 great-grandchildren. He was a very handsome man. Even at 70 years old, he was still handsome. But I'm a little prejudiced when it comes to firemen. As I go through social media posts, I can see how much he was loved and still so terribly missed. On March 10, 2017, Michael's wife, Rebecca, reportedly spoke with him on the phone at approximately 8 a.m., requesting that Chambers purchase some mascara for her. Now, that is a good man that will go to the store for you and buy makeup. Later that day, a security camera at the Quinlan Walmart store captured Michael entering the store, making a purchase, and then exiting the store at 11:15 a.m. The mascara was one of the items that he bought. Rebecca texted Michael on her way home from work and received no response, which she felt was really odd. It was just unusual for him. So she called him, and it just kept going straight through to voicemail. After she got home at 6:15 p.m., she noticed the house was locked and no lights were on. On the cabinet in the bathroom, Rebecca found the mascara that he had bought with the receipt in the trash can. Worried about her husband's whereabouts, Becca reached out to family members who hadn't seen him but assured her Michael was probably out running errands. Recalling that he had told her he had planned to cut firewood, she just began to search the 10-acre property with the help of neighbors. However, Michael was nowhere to be found. Becca and the neighbors then checked his workshop, which is where it gets weird. It was found locked. This struck Becca as strange. When they entered the workshop, they found Michael's wallet, hat, and keys, confirming he had spent some portion of the day in there. Blood was also discovered on the ground, which Becca initially believed to be transmission fluid. This concerned the neighbors, who called 911 around 6:55 p.m. After authorities got there, they noticed no ID was found in his wallet. He is a creature of habit, and he always takes his hat off when working in the shed and places it in the same spot every time. His hat was not in his routine resting spot. The sheriff arrived on the scene not long after and felt a robbery had not occurred. He had expensive tools that hadn't been taken, and also a GUN and money in his truck, about $1,000. He looked at the amount of the blood on the ground and felt it wasn't enough for the wound to have been fatal. They would later say it was about a half a pint of blood. After further examination, the blood on the ground was in splatters going in a certain direction before it stopped near the front door of the shop. This led to the early belief that Michael might have accidentally hit his head and could be walking around disoriented. But then this theory changed when they found a bloody rod in the corner of the workshop with a bloody palm print on it. They immediately began searching the property and also the area near where his cell phone pinged on 2 Mile Bridge around Lake Tawakoni. His phone had either ran out of power or was switched off at 5:15 p.m. on the day he disappeared. They conducted a search around the lake where divers were sent to check underneath the bridge, but found no sign of Michael's body. Hunt County called in a team of bloodhounds to search Michael's property, and they continued to alert in an area near a culvert on Michael's property that led to a large pond. Authorities did an extensive search of the pond along with 2 separate dive teams, but no trace of Michael was found. After doing an inventory of the warehouse, they found that a tarp and a bicycle were missing, although Michael's daughter Susie disagreed, saying the only bike her dad owned was still at his residence in a state of disrepair. Michael's granddaughter noticed the driver's side truck seat was pulled forward for a shorter person, and Michael was 6 foot and 3 inches tall. But the investigators state they could have been the ones to do that when looking through the vehicle. You'd think they would know if they were the ones that done that. That's kind of an important piece of information. They just let slide. Well, we see what we're working with on this. 3 days after the disappearance, the local sheriff made a plea to the media asking for tips. Not long after, the Chambers family issued a $25,000 reward for information and created the Facebook page Bring Papa Home, with the hope that an increased social media push would bring in more leads. During the early days of the investigation, some in the family were concerned Justin, one of Michael's adoptive children, might have been involved. Justin lived 2 hours away in Granbury, Texas, and he and Michael had recently fought over money. This received police interest, who brought Justin in for questioning. When asked about the fight between him and Michael, he said he would never hurt his father. He was subject to a polygraph test, which he passed, and his alibi completely checked out. Investigators had sent away the blood found on the garage floor to be tested. DNA testing confirmed it to be Michael's. A blood splatter expert was called in, as the sheriff had been suspicious over how precise and circular the bloodstains had been. His examination showed the crime scene to have been staged, and the bright color of the blood hinted at the possible presence of an anticoagulant. This made it seem as if the blood had been drawn in advance and then dropped on the floor. On March 20th, 2017, Becca changed the family's cell phone plan, removing Justin and suspending Michael's services, claiming she needed to save money because she was starting to struggle financially. This was followed in April by her having Michael temporarily declared dead so she could sell his truck and any other property, including a fully restored red 65-69 Ford Mustang Michael had given her as a gift, as needed to pay bills, she said. Becca's action during this time caused friction between her and the family. In May 2017, members of the Chambers family were subject to polygraph tests. The first time Becca did her polygraph test, she was unable to complete it due to the prescription drugs she took that day. She did complete the second test, and investigators learned she had had multiple affairs during her marriage to Michael, and that the latest one had ended just 5 months before his disappearance. She claimed her husband had been aware of the affairs, but had never confronted her about them. She also denied any involvement in his disappearance, and her alleged lover had an alibi for that day. On July 2017, Michael's daughter Susie received a message on Facebook from someone claiming his friend had told him where Michael's body was. He called Susie and told her Michael had been killed by more than one person and that Becca and another man had been involved. He gave her an address where he claimed she could find her father's remains. Susie contacted police about the phone call, but they were skeptical about the information, given the man was a convicted felon. They believed him to be only interested in the reward money. However, they still searched the area, but no remains were found. On July 13, 2017, Becca called and requested a protective order against Justin, their adopted son. He reportedly became irate after hearing rumors his mother had been involved in Michael's disappearance. Both the police and members of Chambers' family admit to finding Becca's request for a protective order out of the ordinary. 2 days later, the family became aware that Michael had legally been declared dead that May. The sheriff's office had signed off on the change, citing Becca's actions as normal because she needed access to Michael's possessions to financially support herself. She was able to get Michael's fireman pension and $300,000 in assets. As the investigation drew on, police followed every lead that was called in. However, nothing ever panned out. Given the lack of evidence, they began to look into theories not involving foul play. One of the theories they began looking into was whether or not Michael staged the crime scene in order to walk away from his life. They further questioned the family and found out from Michael's son-in-law, David, that the missing man had spoken about how easy it would be to disappear, a revelation that shocked police. In October 2017, a cell phone expert was brought in and Michael's exact route on the day he disappeared was mapped out using the cell phone pings. It was discovered he had left the house and driven to 2 Mile Bridge on Lake Tawakoni, where he stopped for about 10 to 15 minutes. Through talks with the family, it was discovered Michael had a history there, as the family had lived about 5 to 6 miles from the bridge when Michael's sons were adopted at 2:30 p.m. that day. He then went to the location once more. However, that's where the ping stopped. Through the cell phone data, they were able to discover he had been traveling only around 4 miles an hour, meaning he was probably on a bike, as the speed was too slow for him to have been traveling in a car and too fast for him to have walked. It was found a bike was also missing from the garage. But like I said, the daughter believes that the only bike Michael had was still in that workshop. Michael's family disputes the idea he biked to the bridge too, given how bad his knees had become. Given he was unable to stand for more than even 30 minutes at a time, they found it hard to believe he had been able to bike the 17 miles from the house to the bridge. 17 freaking miles. I mean, I am 20 years younger than Michael. No way can my butt bike 17 miles to somewhere. Probably pass out first. So, well, I know there's people that's in a lot better shape than me. I'm not in that great shape. I'm not going to lie. I don't exercise that much. But 70 years old, 17 miles on a bike, and I don't believe he usually rode this bike. I just find that kind of a weird theory. The information gained from Michael's cell phone records caused police to change their theory surrounding his disappearance. Based on the new evidence, they now believe he threw his bike off the bridge and then jumped in himself, killing him.
I really feel like he jumped in there himself and committed suicide.
Is there any part of you that believes your father could have killed himself?
Absolutely not.
However, they have yet to disclose a motive given the ongoing nature of the investigation. Here is the picture of the bridge, and the bridge is not a great height. The jump would not have killed him. He was a good swimmer according to his family. So there are many bizarre things that have happened in this case that just doesn't add up. Do you guys believe it was a suicide or a homicide? Do you think Rebecca could have been involved in his death? If the body that was found near the lake turns out to be his body, it did have a bike near the body. Will this lead authorities back down the same theory of Michael killing himself? Would a guy go buy mascara for his wife and then bike 17 miles to go kill himself? Seems like an odd theory to me. Maybe his family will finally get some answers, and also maybe they will finally get to lay their papa down to rest. He would have been 75 3 days before his body was found in the woods. Such a sad, sad thing. Just a sad story. And I don't know what happened to Papa, but I pray for the family and I hope blessings upon them, and I hope that they soon discover whether this was actually their Papa or not. Hopefully we'll have some answers soon, and I will update you once we find out. I don't know how long it'll take for them to identify this body, so we'll just wait and see. Come back and join me in the Murder She Said when you get a chance. Bye. Love y'all. 2000. I got food between teeth. Because you know you want to hang out with this southern gal and get some true crime. You know you do. Come on in. The Murder She Said. I'll be waiting. And just make sure you smash my like button. Smash it real good. And come back and see me again. Right here. 2 times weekly. Right here at the Murder She Said. He was still handsome. But I'm a little prejudiced when it comes to firemen. I just think they're pretty good looking. I think a lot of women think firemen are pretty hot. You know, they do have fireman calendars. It's funny because once my husband was on a fireman calendar and he didn't even buy it for us. I'm like, you're on a fireman calendar, you don't even buy it. He didn't even bring it home from the fire department. It's like, you loser. I don't know. He wasn't proud of it. He don't like his picture taken. So he was like, I didn't want it. But I would have liked to have it. He didn't even bring it home. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. To financially support herself, she was able to get Michael's firearm pension. Firearm pensions. What the heck's that? Just ignore me. He's a good boy. I guess I'll scoot over where you can see him. There's that Samo. Bye. We love y'all, and we hope you have a wonderful day. What have you been rolling in? Shit. Sorry. You smell like shit. Why do you smell like shit? I'm still loving on you, and I gotta go to church. You want me to smell like shit at church? Dude, YouTube, forgive me. I didn't mean to say those words. You better to shut rolling in my duck shit. Let me see what's on your side. What is that? What is that on your side? What have you been doing out there? All right, we love y'all. Bye.
When winter has taken spring's final flower, when his life becomes ugly and cold, when death comes upon me like an eviction notice, leaving my soul without a home, I'll be sure